All right, welcome back. We are, of course, on Ohana. It is a Terran versus Zerg match, all lined up for us in the winner's match of this Group H, the final day of the round of 32 groups of the Challenger League of ASL Season 3. So let's get right into these player introductions. Spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, repping the blue trucks. He is your blue Terran.
Risk Gaming, Alceister.
And his opponent in the upper left-hand corner of Ohana, meaning family and not Zerg tiers, as I was originally told. It is your pink Zerg player.
Para OP, Kibbelz.
So just to talk you through what we're seeing here in the early game before we have a little bit of lull in the action. Kibbelz, I'm pretty positive because he's got it down already. Went for a spawning pool first. Of course, a little safer to get those lings out and deal with whatever you might be needing to deal with. So it's, of course, the safer build, and ling speed is on the way as well. Alceister's going to go ahead and throw an SCV up here, get a nice little scout around, and he sees everything that he needed to see. Back home for him, it looks like he went CC first into Rax, which is a really fun build that you can do on a couple of these maps in the Dream Pool. And I'm just guessing that we're going to see a Hellbat Marauder push at some point or another. He's going to throw down a bunker for some protection on the natural, and of course, continue to produce those wonderful SCVs and throwing down some mules. Kibbelz is going to go ahead and scout with these lings here and get all the information that he needs to make the appropriate, considerations to get into the mid game. I do want to talk about how these players played their initial games. Of course, Kibbelz played in a ZVP, defeating our very own Ender Sword, and he was able to predict his opponent really well. Something tells me that he researched his opponent, so we'll see if he's researched Alceister at all. Kibbelz is going to go ahead and throw down a third, a little early, of course, but given him that ling speed, how early it's going to be in the game, he probably has the ability to hold it off, barring any craziness from Alceister. Of course, Alceister winning a TVT as these four Zergs come in and try and check some stuff around. That bunker is going to hold them off pretty decently. They take out one already. Alceister is showing some really nifty micro, and he took really good engagement. So really good standard play out of him, and I expect to see more of the same. And these two base pushes, typically you get out a couple of medevacs, you get out some Hellbats, and some Marauders, and then you just go for it. And he's throwing down two more barracks. He's going to go ahead and put his factory on his reactor and get a tech lab for that barracks. So something tells me he's going to do that, and it's going to hit probably around 9:30 is typically when this hits. He might have stim researched with it. Of course, he could do concussive shells or combat shields, depending on really if he's trying to go for it or what he wants to have into the mid game. And from Kibbelz, the response is he's going to go ahead and take two gases, one at his natural, one at his main. He's going to keep hitting his injects. He's just going to get his units up. He's not, of course, putting any drones on the one extractor at the natural, just saturating his main. So we'll see when he starts upgrades or things like that. But right now, seemingly content to sit back, drone up, get his creep started, and all that good stuff as two Hellions make their way out on the map. These Hellions are really key to Alceister's build as Overlord gets in here and gets a good scat in the main. He has not started any upgrades on that tech lab, but the two Hellions, like I was talking about, oh, there we go, stim, started instantly. So these two Hellions are really key. And if you want to know what build this is, I believe it's Maru's Hellbat Marauder push. And these Hellions are super key to keeping map control and maintaining knowledge of what your opponent is doing. So he doesn't want to lose these because he's going to use them in the late push. So he wants to save them, and he's going to bring them back to these other two Hellions, and he's, of course, going to be able to keep one alive, but he loses one. A little bit of a miss micro there from Alceister. Of course, he's allowed to lose a couple, but you don't want to be losing multiple as he goes ahead and raises the supply to be able to keep those lings out. So Alceister lost one Hellion, and it's going to dampen his push a little bit. You want to maintain those guys. You just want to use them to scout. You don't really want to get them inside the mineral lines that badly. Kibbelz's speed is, of course, already finished up, and the response from him is going to be roaches. And unfortunately, this is kind of playing right into Alceister's hands because, of course, the response to Hellion aggression is roaches. But what he doesn't understand is that we've got Widow Mines, we've got Marines on the way with stim and +1 weapons attack, and Armory, of course, is about to finish up. So when this hits, it's going to hit with Medevacs, Marines, Hellbats, all the good stuff. And, you know, roaches do fairly well, but all the upgrades and the timing and, the the time which it's going to hit might spell some danger for Kibbelz. So we're going to see how the Paragons of Perfection Pink Zerg plays it out, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, he's not playing against Protoss this time. The Paragons of Perfection Pink player, the Zerg, is not playing against Protoss. He's playing against Terran. How many P's can I work into that one? So if we look at the spread of Kibbelz Overlords, they're really pretty good to take away any sort of drop harassment. Kibbelz doesn't know that he has an armory. I'm pretty sure he hasn't scouted it yet, as Alceister is keen to go ahead and start +2 weapons and +1 armor. Stim is just about to finish up, and this is about when this push is going to come. So a minute later than what I predicted, but those Hellions are going to go ahead and form into Hellbats. He does have 3 Medevacs and 2 Widow Mines, so this army has a lot of staying power, especially if he gets good hits off with those Widow Mines. There are a lot of Roaches. He's going to go ahead and throw it on a scan and see exactly what it is he's got to see coming. The push is going to happen regardless. Alceister content with what he sees. He's going to go ahead and push out with a decently sized army here before the upgrades are going to hit. The Lings coming from the right side as Lings and Roaches coming from around the back. The Widow Mines are down. No shots out of them yet. The Hellions aren't out in front, so now they're targeting Lings. This is a lot of army from Kibbelz. He's going to be able to hold it. Now the supply advantage is in Alceister's favor. The Widow Mines getting decent hits, but now it's just Marines to fight Roaches, and he's going to have to lift and get out of there. Now the Medevacs are going to go ahead right into the main, and they're going to try and see what damage they can get done. These Roaches are going to have to pull back and defend in the main, and of course on creep they're pretty quick. Off creep they're not. These Medevacs searching for any sorts of drones damage they can get done. The Roaches are actually going to go for a counterattack now, kind of sensing the danger here. Alceister is seeing it coming. What is the response? We have upgrades on the way, Widow Mines on the way, but really nothing that's going to be a lot of damage. And you know what? The Marines probably weren't the best option. He might have been making Marauders. Now he knows it though. The Roaches are getting up in here. The Lings are getting up in here. And the Natural, they're going to break down this wall. The defense is SCVs, Marines, and Widow Mines versus Roaches, which is not necessarily the best composition you have. Let's see if these Widow Mine shots are any good. Going off, not necessarily getting the best detonations, and those SCVs are just chilling and say, yeah, Roaches, you're welcome to come right up into our main and get whatever sort of damage you want done. This is a 5 Roaches here, or a lot more actually making their way up. And they're actually pretty low health, so now they're getting cleaned up. The SCV is allowed to get actually a lot of surface damage done. And that's GG called, Alceister. All right, welcome back. We are on Cloud Kingdom for Game 2 of this TVZ series of the Winners Match. We're going to get right into the player introductions because it seems like one of the players is doing the exact same thing he did last game. Spawning at the top right-hand corner, taking Game 1 pretty handily on Ohana with a pretty nice Hellbat Marine push. It is your red Terran player.
Team Ascension Armadon.
And his opponent spawning in the bottom left. Currently, of course, down 1-0, trying to get his way back into it and force himself into the round of 16. It is your blue Zerg player.
Para OP Kibbelz.
So the first game we saw on Ohana, your red Terran player went for a 2-base Marine Hellbat all-in. And we saw Kibbelz go for some Roach play, and he counterattacked, and it in the end was not the best idea. You know, that was one of those moments where he might have had the units to deal with the drop back home, but instead he made a decision, and the decision ended up costing them the game. StarCraft 2 can be decided on a lot of reasons, and one of those reasons can be mismanagement of your engagements, as we saw there. And that typically turns out to be the case at the higher echelons of the game itself, because you typically see, of course, things like supply blockages go down for your bronze and silver players, you know, miss-macroing for your gold, platinum players, you know, not hitting your diamonds. And then from diamond on upwards, the engagements are the key. Alceister are going to go ahead and try and work down this extractor that was taken by Kibbelz to go ahead and just limit the 2-base all-inage, but it's not really going to be that big a deal because the Marines are already out, and of course Alceister can go ahead and take a refinery down at the natural should he be so inclined. We are going to see an early, well, not necessarily an early, but the earliest factory possible out of our Terran player. Meanwhile, Kibbelz at home content to drone up and just kind of stabilize to see where life is going to take him this game. I want to see More scouting from the Zerg player just a little bit. I think he thought he had last game read really well, but the counterattack, maybe not necessarily scouting that. I want to rephrase that. I think he needs to just take the visual data in a little bit better and maybe just be a little bit more patient. StarCraft 2 is one of those games where you actually don't consider patience to be that big of quality, but sometimes super necessary. And I feel like when I'm playing StarCraft 2, I'm super hyped. I'm always focusing really quickly. You know, you hear your hands got to be moving, eyes got to be doing something. What am I doing? I need to be doing something constantly. Sometimes you need to take a breath, say, wait, what just happened? How do I need to think myself through it? What does my response need to be? And I think that would have benefited Kibbelz a little better. Of course, I'm just reading into his mind and I'm making assumptions, but we do have a little bit of a change from him. We see a Baneling nest go down as speed is about to finish up. So that is good news to say that he's not going to be passive this time. He's going to be a little bit more active, aggressive, because there are a lot of lings on the map making themselves down to one of what would be one of Alceister's expos on the side of the map here. And of course, Kibbelz keeping this pretty good and under wraps. Alceister, his intelligence has no idea this is happening, so we're going to see some Banelings morph here fairly shortly, and we're going to see a bust go down. So 7 Banelings on the way for our blue Zerg player as speed just finished up, and he doesn't see this as of yet. He saw that ling go in, but that ling is going to hide everything that's going down. Hellions are on the map, but they are not getting the visual cues necessary to know that this is happening because they're going the opposite direction. So these Banelings could do a lot of damage. In come the lings. Let's see how many detonations those Banelings can get off. Of course, the bunker behind the supply depot. The supply depot is lowered, so he's just going to go ahead and get these lings right in there. Banelings are actually going to bust in on that supply depot. 2 Banelings make their way through as the bunker goes down. These lings are surrounding everything. A good pickup on the medevac to force a fight in the main, but the supply depot not finished the wall. Now these lings get in on top of these Hellions. SCVs are pulled. The Marines are going to go ahead and put out enough DPS, which seemingly should stop this as he fights in this little corridor, able to finally take out the Hellion. A lost mining time. Was that a good hold from Alceister, or did Kibbelz do enough damage to warrant the Baneling bust? Currently, Alceister up by 4 supply to, just upped really quickly, but he was up by 4 supply, but it's really small as one solitary Zergling seems to be making its way through, and now we have a couple more making their way through. I think Kibbelz is going a little all in here, and I think it's a bad decision. Alceister has the units to hold this off now. He has a Widow Mine, or rather he has a medevac, Hellions, Marines. Of course, he could probably just hold it with his SCVs and not lose too much. So Kibbelz making a little bit of a misread there. He needs to go ahead and pull back, reconsolidate, and see where the game is going from next. Of course, Stim is about to finish up. We have 10 more lings on the way, 9 more Banelings. He's continuing. He's not making any more drones. He's trying to make this work, and if he doesn't, it's probably going to be GG. He hasn't taken a third or anything like that as of yet. The next round of Banelings have completed, and the next Baneling bust is going to come in and substantially stronger because we have a lot more Banelings this time around. Stim just finished up as we have 2 Widow Mines making their way out as that bunker is going to try and get done before this next Baneling bust. He sees the lings coming in on top. The Banelings going right for the supply depots. Both of them go down in 4 supply. 4 Banelings are still alive. The Hellions and Marines are going to have to kite back with this medevac. They do so. They get up on the ramp and they're forcing the corridor. Can they target the Banelings down? The Hellions getting great shots off, not losing a lot, able to target down those 2 Banelings. And now Kibbelz down to 41 supply to 51. The lings getting in amongst the Zerg or the SCVs, but now medevacs are doing okay. Widow Mines are out. And you know what? This is a really good hold from Alceister. Granted, he is supply blocked, but GG is called.